Alright, what's up guys? This is Gabby, not Gabby. Oh my god, why do I have such an issue with this? This is Yabby, not Gabby. Today is going to be a little bit different. Today we're going to talk about toxic friendships. I don't just want to make this channel all about jokes and laughing. I also want to take it a little bit serious too. I just want to share with you guys my journey as a 28-year-old and what it's like living this little thing that we call life. It's not very little, it's actually pretty big. I'll talk about toxic relationships another time. This is more about toxic friendships. I want to talk about this because I've gone through hell and back with friends. Anybody that knows me knows this about me. I attract all the crazies. I'm the crazy as well, so it doesn't really mix ever. I also want to talk about it because there's a lot of self-care, like do you like only care about you going on these days, and I want to just reiterate the difference between toxic people and other types of people that you might actually have to just put a little bit of effort in to do some conflict resolution, because no relationship, no friendship, no anything is going to come easy without you having to sacrifice something as well. So first I want to talk about toxic people and mentally disabled or mentally ill or anybody that has a diagnosis. And the difference is a straight up diagnosis. They're on antidepressants, they're clearly, like, you can tell that they go to therapy a lot, they've been diagnosed, and obviously I don't want to say diagnosis is the only thing because they overdiagnose these days, like all the time, but if you can tell, honestly, you can tell if a person is really struggling in life or using and manipulating life's adversities to their own good, essentially. So today I want to just talk about the other side, just about toxic friendships and what I've noticed in my years of living. And this also is coming from me as well, because I used to be a toxic friend. It's not just everybody's fault except for your own. Like, you should own up to it when you become toxic as well, because the only way for you to grow is to fail and to accept your failures and learn from them. First, I want to talk about the importance of friendships and why it's important to surround yourself with the type of people or the type of person that you want to be. I've heard this from my mom all my life. My mom's always told me, watch who you're friends with because that's who you're going to become. And the older you get, the more you realize it. And the more you getting held back from your dreams or getting held back from things you want to do because of the people around you. And I like that quote, if you're the smartest person in the room, then you're not in the right room. It's not that easy, obviously, to let go of your ego and your pride and surround yourself with people who know a lot more than you, who might not even be willing to teach you those things, because just because you want to learn does not mean that people are going to just be like, oh, I'm here to teach you. You just got to be strong and resilient and say that you'll get there as well, but surrounding yourself with those people is very important. Show me your friends, I'll show you your future. You're going to be as successful as the motherfucker you're talking to for no reason at all. 50 cents at that. It is lonely at the top, because the older you get, the more you value quality friendships. And this leads me into my point perfectly. I want to give you guys an example. This is from my favorite YouTuber. This girl has honestly like changed my life just watching her videos. She only has fucking 4 or 5 videos, but I promise you each one of them are so profound, and she's not one to just be like, it's always darkest before dawn. Like, no, she gives you like real tangible things to think about and like work on. She has this beautiful analogy that really like kind of like blew my mind, and it's about a party or life as a party. So imagine your life is a party. Anybody that you spend time with is an invitation to that party. So your boyfriend, your friend, your career, that's an invitation to your party. Toxic friends, essentially what they do is they shit in the middle of your living room in the party. So you're at a party, you're just hanging out with normal ass people, and then you see some psycho shitting in your living room. That's what toxic friends do. Not only has this person now defecated and crossed your boundaries and just transformed your home space to something so evil and not really kind, not only have they done that, but now they've also disturbed people in that party. Nobody in the party wants to deal with that shit. Nobody in the party would want to deal with you dealing with a toxic friend, because every time something happens in your work, your family, or your friends. It always affects your work, your family, or your friends. So being friends with a toxic person does not only affect you, but it affects everybody around you. It affects the people that love you and want to spend time with you and want to help you get to a better place by letting go of that person. Just think about that. Every time you want to give that person another chance, don't give them another chance for your sake. Don't give them another chance for your family's and your friends' sake, because they have to deal with that as well. Also, maybe nobody wants to stick around you at that point. Maybe your party smells so much of shit that everybody's like, what the fuck? There are other parties in this entire world. There are 7 billion people in this world. There's other parties. Why the fuck am I stuck here? And now you've lost friends that cared about you, that were good for you, and they just wanted to see you in a better place. Relationships that you shouldn't be losing, as they are your only support system that you have right now in this wicked world that we live in. So starting with that analogy, I want to just point out a couple of things that I think are toxic, but I've also done a lot of research on this topic, not only in the last couple of days, but in the past 2 years, I've been on this really amazing self-discovery journey and self-care journey where I'm really trying to understand my feelings and, more importantly, where they're rooted from. Because what you show as an emotion is really just a reflection of what's really underneath. So here we go. This is something that I just realized very recently. A toxic person can also be an insecure person. Insecure girls tend to let that insecurity seep into so much of their actual life that it starts coming out in conversations with their friends, and relationships, and friendships, and careers, etc. But there's a difference between insecure girls and low self-esteem. Low self-esteem is evolutionary. Low self-esteem is needed. Low self-esteem tells you when you're not amounting to your social circle's skills or level. It's good for you. It tells you that you have to step up your game. It's time to do it. Low self-esteem is tangible. You can see it. It's a bad grade. It's losing a ton of friends because of you have a drug addiction or an alcohol problem. It's things that you can actually see and say, okay, this issue that I have right now, there's a lot of consequences coming from that. The reason why I say don't be friends with insecure people is because they're so insecure in this one thing, and it's come to a point where it's taken over their whole life, they don't mind taking you down with them. It's the same thing as, like, how can you love somebody when you can't even love yourself? If they're going to take themselves down, best believe they'll take you down with them as well. I've come to a point where I don't have a lot of friends. I straight up don't have a lot of friends anymore. I used to, in high school, I used to have a ton, like, people used to know me all the time. University people used to know me all the time. And then after I got out from university, I kind of was like, maybe I don't need to have that many friends. Now it's literally about 2 or 3 friends that I'm like, they're good shit. They're good people. They're good people, and I can talk to them. This is also just in Canada. And then I have, like, obviously I lived, like, everywhere. So I have, like, high school buddies, which I have a group chat with. I love you guys so much. Those are good people. Those are good shit. Like, I fucks with them hardcore because I've known them for a very long time, and not once have they ever given me a reason to distrust them. The types of people who are not insecure. They know who they are. They know they have some faults. They know they have some things to work on, but that doesn't take over their whole life. They care about themselves, so they care about other people as well. This is another huge red flag for friendships. Be aware of the people that don't clap when you win. This is so important. I used to have a friend who I could not talk to about my growth, about my accomplishments. It came to the point where I valued her friendship so much in my life where I would just shut up about it because I knew that it would make her feel very depressed, to the point where, guys, you could see it on her face. Like, her face fell and she would start fidgeting around, and, like, immediately she'd bring it down. When I was weaker and I really didn't know myself, like, it really affected me, and it put a damper on my win. I'm like, maybe that's not a win. Maybe that's not a win for me. But then when I got stronger and started learning myself, I started realizing that that's just her insecurities coming into our friendship. It came to the point where when we stopped being friends, she made a comment about, oh, you don't even do anything with your life, like, you're doing nothing with your life. And I just started listing off all the goals that I've accomplished since then, because I was like, bitch, just because I don't talk to you about it doesn't mean I'm not doing anything about it. Like, work in silence kind of thing. So That's when I realized that I shouldn't have a friend where I should stifle my achievements. Because when she had achievements, not only was it when she had achievements, but I would help her get to those achievements. That's the kind of person that I am. I will help you get to where you are. Just stop talking about all my accomplishments, because it would genuinely disturb her to the point where she would actually lose sleep. And like, the conversations for the next couple of days were about how her life is such a mess and how she can't do anything, and like she's so sad because like blah blah blah. And then obviously after that I'm stuck like being like, no, you're awesome, like sorry, like I didn't know I was gonna get this, like I'm sorry, like you have a great life, like blah. So I thought it was all about reaching out and really like depressed and like reaching out and like, but quickly I realized it was more like she didn't like the fact that I was doing better than her, because in her mind, somewhere in her mind, she convinced herself that I was less than her. So when reality shows that in fact she is not, she doesn't like it, and she starts to spaz out essentially. And that's something that you don't need in your life. Maybe when you're like 12, after 25, dude, there's no fucking point. Drop them immediately, because after 25 is when your life starts getting affected by them, and you don't want that shit. You have goals. You don't have enough time to achieve your goals. You don't gotta spend time with people like that. Drop them. It's gonna be very hard. Trust me, I've cried. I've questioned myself. I've questioned my decisions. I've called my mom being like, am I a bad person? Like, am I a bad person? Like, I've questioned myself to the depths. But at the end of the day, the peace that I have now trumps everything that I've dealt with her. Another thing that drives me mad is lying. Lying about anything. This is what matters to me. When they lie about something insignificant, that really speaks to their character. I used to have a friend, again, not part of my life anymore, who would lie or embellish stories about getting like free drinks or free stuff, essentially. To me, that's the most stupidest thing. And it always involved guys. It always involved men. Women that lie about how much attention a man is giving them, or lying about a relationship that never really happened with a man, that just irks me out. Because any woman that puts a man over another woman irks me out. It makes me feel like you don't love yourself, because you're literally choosing the opposite gender. You're literally choosing the opposite, like, gender over yours. Like, I don't understand that. Something that you shouldn't deal with those, like, lies. Like, just lying about little things. Like, lying about anything in general. Because, like, why the fuck are you lying? Liars are so weird to me. It's like, they don't even care if they get caught. They'll still lie about it. Like, and then the things they lie about are so unimportant. Like, if you just told the truth, it wasn't a big deal at all. So, I don't know. It's just like, if people can't even trust themselves to tell the truth, then why do you want to fuck with that? Why spend your time with people who always avoid the truth? What's the point? There's really no point. Another one that I'm very guilty of. I'm very, very guilty of, and I'm going to speak about that, is competitiveness. This is no excuse, but I'm naturally competitive. I played team sports all my life, and like, when I'm the best at something, I want to be the best, and I want to stay on top, and I want to just like be the best forever. So anybody that threatens that, I start like doubting myself, and I start thinking that I'm not good enough, because at the end of the day, like, competition is tangible. You can see who won, who doesn't. So it's kind of like, you want to be the best, but like, reality keeps telling you that you're not. So I don't know, like, I'm always competitive, and I've always wanted to like just be the best at like the things that I'm good at, mostly about things that I just have spent a lot of time on and care about. So I'm very competitive about stuff like that. The thing is, I'm competitive, but I've always kind of noticed that her gain does not make my loss, if that makes sense. In the sense that, like, let's just talk about like an actual race. Like, just because my best friend won doesn't mean that that's the reason why I lost. Runner number 3 could have won. Runner number 4 could have won. Runner number 5 could have won. It's not because of her that I lost. I lost because I lost. If you won her this time, what about the next competition you go to? Is another person. Are you going to be mad about that person? And the person after that? And the person after that? No. You lost because you lost. Her winning has nothing to do with your loss at all. Keep it in the family, you know? That brings me to my next point, which is jealousy. Jealousy. Jealousy is a huge one between girls. And partially, I think it's like a patriarch thing, where men have created a world where they'd rather us female fight against each other than us team up and win against them, essentially. So jealousy, I think, comes a lot from females thinking that they have to compete against each other only to get noticed or get recognition or be successful, which is completely false. Because if we just stuck together, there's a whole other agenda that we have to win over before we can be successful. Like, if we want to make the big bucks, that's actually from other males, not females. You fighting with a female, or just fighting, it's like a minority group and a minority group fighting together. It makes no sense. The superior group is just happy as fuck. At least you guys are keeping occupied doing that. Jealousy is the stupidest, it just doesn't help at all. It doesn't help at all. I don't want to confuse that by like admiration, for example. Admiration is like looking at that person, realizing what you have, being happy with it, and saying, you know what, I want more. That's admiration. Jealousy just keeps you stuck. It doesn't let you grow. It doesn't let you fail. It doesn't let you really do anything. And if you let it, it takes over your life. That feeling of jealousy is like, I felt it. Obviously, I felt it. So I'm talking about things like that. Everything that I've said so far, like, I've been there. I know both sides now. And I'm telling you now that the other side is way better. It's way more freeing. It's way more positive. You're able to receive so much more from not being jealous than you do from being jealous. And who doesn't want to receive things? Everybody wants to receive things. I want to receive things free, sure. Not free, but good, yeah, why not? Another thing that I want to talk about, is just going to lead me right into what I want to talk about, is you can kind of feel when you have a friend that's not there for you, or you can't trust that person. The girl that I talked about earlier, who I was friends with for a very long time, it was very strange, but like, I was never able to look her in the eyes. I just couldn't, because I just did not trust her. So I just couldn't like look her in the eyes and have a conversation with her because I just didn't trust anything that came out of her mouth. It came out with so many layers of fear, her insecurities, her fears, her hatred, her like jealousy, her like all of that. It came out huddled with so much of that I could never trust it. I knew I couldn't trust this friend for a very long time, but I still kept telling her a lot of things about myself, and I still kept inviting her into like the really deep moments of my life. And that was a mistake, because your gut is telling you that this person is not for you. This person is not for you. It got to the point where she did something that really fucked me over. The next day, I woke up with a knot in my stomach. Like, I literally called her and I was like, there's something wrong. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what happened, but I feel like there's something wrong. And she was like, oh my god, like, that's so, like, don't worry about it. Like, that's totally all in your head, like, blah, blah. And then a couple months later, I found out that the night before she had like fucked me over royally. And that's what happened to me. And I just like laugh about it now, because I'm just like, really? For real? Like, after all the things that I've done for you, like, this is what you're gonna do? Cool. Thank you very much. But yeah, I think that if you can't trust that person and your intuition is telling you like, back the fuck up, please listen to it, because it's there for a reason. This would drive me up the fucking wall. I used to have a friend, she would blow up my phone constantly, asking for advice, constantly, and then never, ever take my advice. And people like that are looking for you to just agree with their decision. That's it. Because I used to be like that. I used to, I would send my friends pictures of myself and be like, which picture should I upload? No matter what people said to me, I would still pick the one that I wanted, because I just wanted somebody to agree with me. That's it. I didn't want people's opinions, even though it looked like I was asking for it. No, I just wanted somebody to be like, that one. And how the fuck are they supposed to know that you want this picture? If you're gonna ask for advice, then realize that people are gonna give it to you, and it might not be something that you want to hear. Happens once, okay. Happens twice, okay. But if that's a character where it's constantly you talking to a wall, but them still asking for advice and seeking for it, that's toxic. That's fucking toxic. So just watch out for that. Even though you're right all the time, they still like will never believe what you say. And it's really, really draining to do that. You know what I mean? Like, it's draining to just have a friendship where you're just always being questioned, or somebody who purposely tries to disagree with you for every little thing. Like, you can be like, that sign is blue, and they'll be like, no, it's green, just to disagree with you. That's toxic. That's draining. It's like, why? Another thing is negativity. Oh my god, that shit is so draining. Again, I used to be like that, and I would just watch people flee from me. Just watch them. And honestly, like, At that point, I was in a lot of pain. I was in so much pain. Like I was not diagnosed. I was not on medication at all. I just was in a lot of pain that I thought that by just talking about it all the time, people would kind of understand that I'm in a lot of pain and maybe help me. I just watched it do the opposite of that. Instead of people actually listening to me, people started distancing themselves from me. Because it's one thing to complain, but it's another thing to complain and never do anything about it. That's just draining somebody's precious energy. That's selfish. You need to vent about what you're doing wrong, but you don't want to change about it. That's not okay. Especially when there's therapy and like self-help books and like so many things that you can do. Like you can write a journal and like you can figure your shit out faster than going to therapy sometimes. And this is the thing about being negative is life sucks. Life is very hard. You have to work extra hard for things that you want. Life sucks, but you know what? You can sit there and talk about all the things that suck because you will never run out of things. There's so many things that suck and it's never ending. But finding things that are good and positive, that's a little bit more finite. That takes a little bit more energy. That takes a little bit more gratefulness for you to be able to talk about things that are actually going good. When you talk about things that are going bad, you're draining yourself constantly. You're putting a lot of energy out into the world. You're putting a lot of negative energy up into your relationships, your friendships, your work, your everything. But when you start realizing things that are going good, you start receiving energy. You start replenishing yourself and you start refueling yourself, because talking about positive things and mentioning them puts it out into the universe and it lets you become that positive person as well. I promise you this because I've gone both fucking ways. I've done both. I've been negative, Nancy. Going out would be like such a difficult thing, like going for food, like going to a restaurant, like going, like literally anything was just like, oh my god, life is so negative. Those things still happen today. Those things did not change. That's another thing, like magically being better or like self-care doesn't mean that the things that annoy you aren't there anymore. They're fucking there. They are there. They're never going to change. You just learn to not care about them so much and you start to ignore them and you start giving your attention less to them. You can change your reality completely. You can change your position in life. You can change your reality completely by just choosing what you pay attention to, because that's what's going to grow. I'm not saying that like don't be negative all the time. Obviously, if you're going through something, heal. Take your time. You can say the world is a shitty place. Heal. Take your time. That's fine. But get out of that, because it's very easy to stay stuck in that. It's very easy. Ew. Sexy the hot. Some guy says on my Instagram. Sexy the hot. So I think that's like all I can say. There's a lot more I can say about toxic people, obviously, but like I just want to end this at that. I also want to talk about like what to do with toxic people, because that's the part that I'm in right now where I'm struggling is instead of cutting them out, just start distancing yourself. And I have a hard time with that. Because I'm very emotional, so when I find out that the person who I thought they were are not that person anymore, I kind of just don't care about the rest. For me, that's already spoiled, because the person I thought you were, you're not anymore. And I'm working on that. Got it. I have to learn to not cut them out, not to like just like have this like fueled like angry like oh my god like blah blah. I don't want to do that anymore. I'm sure you guys are watching this, people that I cut out. I'm sure you're fucking watching this. I really don't have anything to say to you except for I am sorry to myself. Not I'm sorry to you, but I'm sorry to myself for acting that way, because I shouldn't have acted that way, because I've done too much growth and I've put a lot of effort into being a good person, essentially. Not just a good person, but a fully functioning person. But yeah, so if you have the ability to not explode, distance yourself from them. You don't have to cut them out. They can be an acquaintance. They can go from best friend to acquaintance. They can go from best friend to party friend. They can go from best friend to only like to do this one thing with her because we both have a good time doing that, and everything else that she does pisses the fuck out of me. There's lots of different little levels you can put people in. I think that's about it. If you're watching this video and you're kind of like, oh shit, that kind of sounds like me, like just be like, that's okay. That's okay. You can fuck up. You're allowed to make mistakes. What you're not allowed to do is not own up to them and not change. You can't do that. You can make mistakes, but you gotta take them in, learn from them, and change. But yeah, I know this video was super serious, and I hope I didn't talk too fast, because I feel like I really talked too fast. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Comment, like actually, like this is not a sarcastic comment, this is actually comment, and let me know what you think. And more importantly, I would like advice about how to distance people instead of cutting them out. Yeah. And if I talk a lot of shit, be like, bitch, you talking a lot of shit, shut the fuck up. I'm gonna be like, okay, well, thank you for your input, but this is my channel, so bye. No, I'm kidding. If you have real criticism, I'm open to it. If If you're gonna be a hater, you're gonna shit on me for no reason, I don't got time in my life for that. I straight up don't. I used to shit on myself a lot and I stopped doing that. So if I'm not doing it, you ain't doing it either. Okay, cool. Bye.